Hello, this is the 1,000-mile review on my 2026 Harley-Davidson Lowrider S. Is it a good bike? Let's find out. So I've been riding my 2026 Harley-Davidson Lowrider S for 1,000 miles now. I got past the first 1,000 miles maintenance. Check out the video on my channel about how much that costs, the breakdown of doing it at the Harley dealership, and check out the comments to find out what 200 other riders are saying about this. It's pretty controversial, but I also made another video to talk about my recommendation of whether we should do it at the dealership or not. The answer might not surprise you as much. So far, the motorcycle is fantastic. It's super stylish. It comes very stripped down, much like most Harley motorcycles. I immediately had to get saddlebags, so I went with Viking bags. This is basically $500 bags that are super easy to install, and they do the job. Comparably, you'll probably pay a couple $1,000s at Harley, or at least over $1,000 at Harley. I got this seat, which it's also from Viking bags, kind of pushed me up a little bit, which made me not really need the forward controls on the motorcycle. I'm 6'2", so right off the bat, the foot pegs were kind of cutting my circulations because my leg was kind of more than that 90-degree angle, so it was really cutting the circulations at the hip. That one, I was planning on getting the forward controls, and as soon as I got the seat, I felt so comfortable, and I actually felt really in control. So this was a big, inexpensive upgrade that I didn't need to spend the $500 on the forward controls. I think it was actually a little bit more, $600 from Harley. The styling is awesome. That little fairing on the Lowrider S, it actually does more than it looks. You don't get any wind buffer on your helmet. Somehow it works. I'm not a huge fan of the styling of it. A lot of people like it. It's got this cafe style fairing. I'm just not a huge fan of it, but surprisingly does the job. I ended up with getting the sissy bars as well, mainly because I like the looks of them. And I got Amazon foot pegs for $68. Comparably, they're a couple $100s at Harley. Honestly, they look the same. They do the job really well. I would never recommend getting it from Harley. So this one has the Milwaukee 117 engine. It's the high output engine from Harley-Davidson. It's they're kind of second most powerful, obviously, unless you go with the CVO or whatever. It's a really fast bike. It's a mid-range torque. It's about 128 foot-pound of torque at 4,000 RPM. So that's kind of your sweet spot when you're gonna get your beast mode activated. If you're coming from a sports bike, this will not feel the same way. Torque and horsepower feel very different. This is the torque is really physical. It's a physical feeling, while the horsepower just feels like pure acceleration, pure speed. So this is very Harley through and through. It does rattle, it does rumble, it does shake, and it's all part of the Harley-Davidson experience. I personally would say that it's a pretty quiet motorcycle. I feel I would eventually get a new exhaust, or maybe a slip-on exhaust, mainly because if you're riding motorcycles, it's a safety thing more than the fun aspect of it, but also the exhaust note is beautiful music to our ears. So I would definitely go with a slip-on exhaust eventually. It's not a quiet motorcycle, but again, it feels like it's missing a deeper note or a deeper rumble. So far, technology-wise, it does have a lot of safety features. It does have ABS cornering technology. It does have your tire pressure monitor system in the gauge, so you can kind of see your front and rear tires. Came in handy a few times already. It does come with 3 riding modes: rain mode, and then I guess normal mode or street mode, and then sports mode. Rain mode is recommended if you really want to pace yourself and force yourself to cruise and enjoy the ride. It's not slow, it's just very tameable. It is also It's also really good for braking. When you're braking in the motorcycle, it does keep you checked so you don't push the motorcycle too hard. And then normal mode is where I drive on. It does give you the torque when you need it. You almost feel like you don't lack anything. And then sports mode is when you're just aggressive. You're kind of your torque maps are, you know, this is a throttle by wire, so it almost feels accurate to your throttle response. So you're getting the feedback that you're expecting to get from the motorcycle, and it's just a lot more aggressive. The motorcycle itself is surprisingly comfortable. It's kind of Harley's motorcycle where you can really push it in corners, you can really get aggressive with it, and at the same time you can cruise with it and be comfortable. And I feel this is really accurate. You know, you can lean into corners, and of course you're always going to scrape your pegs. It's a low rider, it's a low motorcycle, but it doesn't have it does have those like small pegs where you can afford to lean and let them scrape, and it does have this kind of instant torque if you're in the right RPM, and if you're riding and if you're keeping your RPM exactly where you need it, you can really exit corners and you can go fast. You can really you can feel like it's aggressive, but also you can cruise with it and go long distance. I've done a couple hours, 3-hour trips with them, and it's really comfortable. I don't have any complaints in terms of comfortability. I would like to ask all my lowrider guys out there whether they recommend it or not. I've never ridden one, but it is a dream motorcycle of mine. What I do love about this is that it's comfortable, but it's also very nimble. But then there's just something about the lowrider that's always attracting me. I love the comfortability aspect of it. But if I don't always go long distance, should I get the lowrider? Should I get the Road Glide, or should I stay with the Lowrider S? As of right now, I feel this is the motorcycle that you can get if you daily ride your motorcycle. You want to just get on and go. You want to go through traffic. You want to split lanes if it's legal in your state. But it's also better. You can also travel with it, and it's comfortable. If you have enough storage, and if you buy storage, you really don't have any reason that you can't go far with it. So I feel it's the do-it-all of the Harley-Davidson lineup. It's stylish, it's strong, it's great. Personally, one of my regrets is I would have gotten the Lowrider ST rather than the Lowrider S. Again, it was one of those things where, you know, you get buyer's regret. You buy the motorcycle and then you realize your needs after. I spent a few years not riding, so you almost kind of forget what you need. I've reviewed all the Indian lineups, again, when it's not your motorcycle, you don't know what you need unless it's yours and you're not just reviewing. So with this one, I quickly realized that I need saddlebags immediately. I also needed a few things that made me feel, well, I should have gotten the ST. In fact, I'm in the market for fairing. They're just out of stock at Viking Bags. They have this beautiful fairing. And at that point, I'm kind of bringing the motorcycle to an ST layout. And with the money I spent, I'm not too far from just getting an ST. The problem with the dealership and the markup, specifically in California, we have one major superstore, a Harley-Davidson one, and it's kind of the only one with close proximity. So they get to name their price, and your Lowrider ST was in the high 20s. At that point, I can just go to any far, you know, in another state and get the Lowrider. I can get the Road Glide almost for the price of the ST. So I just couldn't. I couldn't make the decision on the spot that I want the ST. But once I rode for the first 1,000 miles, if I can go back in time, I would get the Lowrider ST personally. But again, this is me. What do you need? What do you need from your motorcycle? What kind of styling do you like? This thing, I don't have any major complaints. And now that I got the saddlebags, I feel like I can ride it for a very long time. The fairing would be more of a styling thing. I don't mind the wind at all with this fairing, as it just hits me perfectly. I'm like, again, 6'2". I'm not getting any wind buffer or anything. So if I do get it, it would be for styling and that added, like, you know, reduction of wind fatigue. The brakes on this motorcycle are amazing. There is a little bit of front brake shudder, and it's funny that I kind of saw it in the comment before I started experiencing it, and it could be that the Comet made me notice it a little bit more. I'm not sure, but they're strong and they stop on a dime. Same with the rear brakes. Both brakes are amazing. Suspension, I would say, is a strong suit of this motorcycle. They're really soft, actually, and they're really comfortable. But they carve corners like aggressively. I don't have any complaints with those at all. It's been 1,000 miles, so I did get to try all the different modes. I tried my cruise control, which they don't recommend doing in the first 500 miles, by the way. So I feel like it's a really well-rounded motorcycle. And if I get the Road Glide, it's not out of necessity or need for more comfort. It's more because I love the styling of the motorcycle and the size of it. I don't think I should get it based on the type of riding I do, because not all my riding is long distance. Most of my riding is actually short distance. So I think it would be more of like the love for the platform and not the need for the platform. So that's another thing about it. So far, it's a great motorcycle. If you love Harley, you know you're gonna get most of your torque in that mid to high range. This is exactly it. Once you get to the top of your RPM, you actually get like this blitz of acceleration right up until you hit your rev limiter when you get to the top, and it almost feels like you need more before you have to shift. It's a 6-speed, but again, it's not a sports bike. It's not made to go really fast, although it's freakishly fast for a cruiser. The riding position, again, at 6'2", the mid controls with the stock seat just did not work for me. So with the seat that kind of raises up the ride a little bit, it does kind of fix that problem for me. The handlebars are at a perfect position, I feel. You can get risers if you want, a couple inches to raise it up a little bit more, but I don't have any complaints with that. I love the gauge. I love how simple it is. It reminds me a lot of some of the Indians out there, the Indian motorcycles. It does have a lot of technology in a very small, compact space. And I hated the previous year of the Lowrider S when they had the digital gauge. I hated that. It just completely took away the Harley character. You needed the analog feel. So this one does have that, and it does pack. Again, it does pack technology. When you have your check engine light go on, which surprisingly went on twice already with only 1,000 miles on it, but that's a Harley-Davidson thing. So we're gonna do another video of Harley versus Indian, and I'm sure everyone is gonna go nuts and gonna provide amazing feedback. But you can kind of diagnose your motorcycle through the gauge. You just get the code, then you search for the code, you find out exactly what it is. If it's a historic code, you can just clear it, and if it's a current code, then you got to take it in or fix it yourself if you're that guy and you're that good. So far, so good. No complaints at all. It's only 1,000 miles, so a lot more miles to go, and I hope you guys are with me throughout this journey. Do I recommend this motorcycle? I 1,000% recommend it. I don't recommend Harley maintenance. They are exceptionally expensive. I don't recommend Harley parts. They are very much overpriced. In all my videos, I say Harley relies more on their parts and services than the sales of the motorcycles. So they sell you the motorcycle, but the service is when they get you. It's the first 1,000-mile service was $700. So very, very expensive and could really be avoided if you go somewhere else. I had some issues with mine. If you check the other video, I had an oil leak right when I got the motorcycle. So my comfort level wasn't, there to do it myself. I just wanted them to check it out to make sure it's good. It's a very expensive motorcycle, so you really want to make sure it's healthy, especially if you're getting a brand new one and it does already present you with some issues. So reliability, again, so far I had one major issue and no other issues. So can I say it's reliable? I don't think so. That major issue came at 25 miles on my odometer. Like as soon as I rode it home from the dealership, So I can't really say it's reliable, but again, since then nothing happened, so let's call it a freak accident. Any of the codes were, it seemed like it's an electrical thing that happened and then just fixed itself, because it was a historic code, so I cleared it and never came back. Other than that, I highly recommend it. Do I recommend it more than Indian? Let me ride it a little bit more. I've reviewed all the Indian motorcycles, and each single model I reviewed it for, I had it for over a month, so I did experience them thoroughly. So let me ride this a little bit more and get back to you on that, and then we're gonna start some crap in the comments. Harley versus Indian, which one would you recommend? Let's start now. Let's put in the comments now, and then let me know, what do you want me to compare this to on the Indian lineup? I think some of the bobbers and the chief bobber are going to be the one to compare this to. Is this worth $23,000? I hate markups. I never think markups are worth it, because the manufacturer suggests a certain price, but the dealer get to add $4,000. That's just not fair, and that happens in automotive all the time, especially during the COVID time. There were some manufacturers that are adding $10,000, $15,000 on their cars, which is absolutely mind-blowingly insane, specifically some of the sports cars. I think you should search more before you pay markup for this motorcycle. And I think if you're gonna get saddlebags and maybe front fairing, go with the ST right away. Don't go with the Lowrider S. If you do like a stripped down look, you're gonna love the Lowrider S. If you're a backpack guy or a girl, Lowrider S is awesome. So yeah, highly recommend it. And this is only 1,000 miles, so many more miles to go. And I hope you're with me in the journey.